Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. If you're new to my channel today, I would like to officially welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, in this video, this is what we're gonna be working on. I'm gonna show you guys how to make this crop top. It's very simple stitch to do. And since summer is here, it's gonna be something that you can throw on that is not gonna be super hot. And of course you can use any type of wool to make this. So if in the summer, of course, you don't want to use any acrylic, even though I use acrylic to do my projects. Try to avoid making a lot of wearables with acrylic in the summer because it can get hot. But when the weather is a little bit nice and cooler, or if you're indoors, then of course you can use that. And yeah, so this is what we're gonna be working on. So let me go ahead and grab all the materials that I'm gonna be using, and that way you can see what I'm gonna be using and you can get the same stuff, or you can just get whatever type of wool you want. But it's gonna be important to make sure you're following the size that I'm using for the crochet hook as well, so that you can do it right. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay guys, so before we get started, I'm going to show you all the materials that I'm using for this project. And as you can see here, I'm using Joy DK by Loops and Threads. You have all of your measurements here. Okay, this is lightweight number 3. It's 100% anti-peeling acrylic. Recommended hook size is a 5mm crochet hook or US H8. And this color is called navy. Okay, so that is what we're using for the yarn. Of course, you can use any yarn of your choice. I'm going to use a little bit of a smaller crochet hook size, so I'm using this 4.25mm crochet hook or G6. Okay, and just a preference of mine, you could definitely use what is recommended for the yarn. I have my tape measure here to determine the size. I will be making a small, which is for me. So I'm showing you guys the tape so you can determine your size. Of course, we have a darning needle and a scissors as well. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with the project here. So the first thing we're gonna do at this point is determine the length of our crop top. So if this is your body up here and you're making, this is your length of the crop top, this is the length of the crop top that we're determining by the number of chains that we do. Okay, so like I said previously, I'm making a small, which is for me, and it's going to be just touching my belly button in terms of the way I will wear it. Okay, so it's not covering all the way down to my hips. So this will be the time that you determine how long you want it to be. If you want it to cover most of your torso, then you have to make the length that you're looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a chain of 50. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, as you can see I'm doing here. And I do leave a long tail so that I can actually sew my the two sides of my crop top together at the end. You don't have to do this, you could just kind of do it from the opposite side. Okay, all right, so now that I have my slip knot like that, I'm going to start by doing my chain of 50. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have my chain of 50 right here. So this is going to be the length of my crop top. Okay, now I'm going to add one more chain for a turning chain. So I'm going to add 51, and then I'm going to turn my work this way so I can work back down the chain that we just created. And this is going to be really simple. I just wanted to do a simple project that beginners can do as well. And so we're just going to be using one stitch, and this is going to be a half double crochet stitch. Okay, so we're going to skip the chain I just added, which is the 51st chain, and in the 50th, if you're counting downwards towards where we started, I'm going to yarn over, go in the back of that chain, and then do a half double crochet. So for those of you who don't know, half double crochet is you yarn over, you go into your stitch. In this case, we're going to the back of the foundation chain. You will end up with 3 loops on the hook. You yarn over, you go through all 3. Okay, and then you will repeat that again and again and again and again, and you will do this until you get to the end of this chain that we just started with here. So this is how your half double crochet should look like. Okay, this is a thin yarn, so it's a lightweight, so it does look really small. If you're working with a little bit of a bigger yarn, let's say you're working with a medium number 4, for example, you will see that this is a lot fatter, but because we're working with a smaller one, it is a little bit smaller. Okay, so you're just gonna repeat this all the way to the end of this chain, and then when you get there, you're gonna come back so I can show you how to start the second row, which is also our repeat row. Okay, so this is very simple. We're gonna be repeating the second row until we have the circumference of your torso, pretty much how loose or tight you want it to fit. Okay, so go ahead and finish this row, and then I'll see you guys when you get to this end here. Okay, so this is the end of the first row that I've completed here, and altogether I should have 50 stitches because we did 51, but we skipped the first one here to start this row. So make sure you have 50 stitches that you're working with throughout this project. Okay, all right, so now that we have our first row completed, we're going to start our second row, which is our repeat row, and we're going to start with a chain 1 and turning. Okay, and as soon as you turn your work, in this very first stitch here, you're going to go through both loops and do your half double crochet stitch, just like that. And then for the next 48 stitches, you're going to go in the back loop of this stitch to do your half double crochets. So you're just going to go ahead and yarn over, pick up the back loop, bring it back, yarn over, go through all 3. And you're going to do this until you have one last stitch to go. And in that one last stitch, you're going to go through both loops as well. So in other words, you start by going through both loops at the beginning of the row, and you're going to finish it off at the end by going through both loops as well for the final stitch. And this is what you repeat to do throughout this project until you have the one piece that is white that can wrap around your torso. What I do is I measure the widest part of my chest. So I do it like I'm measuring my bust, and that is going to be the length that I'm going for, because I would rather it's a little bit loose than a little bit tight. Because if you measure, let's say right below your breast, then it may actually be big, especially if you have big breasts. I don't have big breasts, but if you do have big ones, your size that goes wrap around your bust may not may be a little bit too tight there if you measure below your bust. Okay, so what I do is I just measure right on my bust, and that is the size that I go for, so that I'm not going to be a little bit too tight at the end. And also keep in mind, this project or this pattern here particularly stretches quite a bit, especially the fact that we go through the back loop as we're doing here. Is going to make the work really stretchy. So when you measure, make sure you're also accounting for the stretchiness of your material. Different yarns can also have different level of stretchiness, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay, for now, finish this row. I will come at the end when you have one final stitch to go, come back, and I will show you how to finish that row off, and then we will start row 3. And then I'll let you guys pretty much finish it off by just continuing to repeat the same thing until you have what you need to cover you. Okay, all right, so at the end, let's meet so we can finish it off together. Okay, so I have done my 49 stitches here, so I have my 50th to go. And as I said, meet me at the end so we can do that last one together. So for this last one, of course, we yarn over, we go through both loops of that final stitch. Okay, and then we yarn over and we go through all 3 loops. Okay, so we finish each side like this, and we start each side like we did at the beginning of the second row here. Okay, so again, then we do a chain 1, so there will always be a chain 1 on each of the ends, and then you turn, And then again, for this first stitch, you go through both loops to do your half double crochet stitch, and then you do the next 48 in the back loop, and then the final, which is the 50th, you do you go through both loops as well. So you continue to build your work like this, as I said, until you have the size that's gonna cover you fully around your torso and your bust. And when you have that, then you come back and we will just literally join it and do our straps. So it's a very, very, very simple project, which is I'm targeting beginners. So if you're a beginner and just looking to do some wearables that are really easy and simple to do, this is one of your go-to that would usually make you feel really happy by the time you actually finish creating it. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys work on it from here on. I'm gonna do the same on mine. I will probably do about 76 to 80 rows, something like that, because I will need it to be really long so that we fold it inwards to join the two sides. So of course you measure your size, or what I do in most cases is I actually try it as I go, like I wrap it around my body as I go, and then when I know I have enough material that will wrap around comfortably and it's not too loose, then I stop there. So this is exactly what I'm gonna do with this, but I know it's gonna be a really long piece that's gonna be a couple of probably about 70 to 80 rows altogether. Okay, so go ahead and create your piece, and when you have done so, come back and we will look at it, and then we will start the next part of the project together. Okay, see you guys when you're done that. Okay guys, so I have completed the numbers of rows that I require for my crop top here. So as you can see, this is the full length of it here. Okay, so I ended up doing about 74 rows altogether, and it is super stretchful, stretchy, stressful. It is stressful too, I'm kidding. It's not stressful at all, but it is super it's stressful. I cannot say that word apparently. It's very stretchy. Okay, so make sure you're incorporating that, or at least you're considering the stretchiness of this pattern when you do your work, because otherwise it will be too loose if you make it too wide, or it will be too tight if you don't make it wide enough. Okay, so this is where the project ends here. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of pretty much cut these off here. So I'm gonna remove this yarn here. And by the way, if you did not leave a long tail at the beginning, then this is where you would make sure you make sure your yarn is super long, or at least long enough to join this section here, because that section needs to be joined in. And then so after I cut it here, I'm just gonna weave it in, or not weave it in, but like lock it in like that with a slip knot. Okay, so this is pretty much it here. So I'm gonna kind of line it up like this, and we're gonna sew it. If you do see it stick out like this and like this, it's just because this is the ends where we started, but eventually it will kind of come together. So don't worry about the fact that it looks like it's overlapping on these sides here. Okay, all right, so we're going to put the remaining of the yarn away for now. We're gonna need it later. But for this section, we're going to bring in our darning needle, and we're going to put the thread in that thread hole there. Okay, and then when you have that, you're going to pretty much fold your work in like this. And it doesn't matter what side you fold it in, both sides are good. This is something you will probably be able to wear inside out. Is reversible, in other words, because there's no inside of it, there's no outside of it. So you just have to make sure you line up your stitches like this. Okay, and now that your stitches are lined up like this, you're going to take the darning needle that you got. I'm gonna see if I can move it in just so you can see it a little bit more clearer, hopefully. Okay, then this color is a little bit on the dark. I don't usually like using darker colors because it's very hard to do a tutorial with it. You cannot see a lot of details, but we will try. And I'm taping indoors as well, so I'm really depending on artificial lights. So hopefully in the future I can record outside and I can use all the natural light. But for now, we're gonna make this do. But anyway, so you line up your work like this. The side that has the string, I'm right-handed, so the side that has the long string is away from me, and the side that doesn't is the one closest to me. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the very first stitch here on the side that is closest to me, and I'm gonna take it and move it to the other side and also put it in the first stitch there. It's gonna create this loop here, and you can use the loop to tighten that beginning over there like that. And what I usually do 100% of the time is I do one more in the exact same hole to just create a little bit of a more tighter beginning here, because you don't want this part to become loose and come off. Okay, and then in the next stitch right here, I'm going to take the inside loop and the outside loop on the other side. Okay, so if you look at this, we have these V stitches right here. I know it's hard to see, and the same thing on the other side. Actually, for this second part here, I'm gonna go through both just to reinforce this first part of it here to make sure it's really tight and it holds. And then now for this second stitch here, I'm going to grab the inside of the stitch that is from the piece that is closest from me, and then grab the outside of the one furthest away from me, and then we're gonna pull, and then we're gonna take the inside loop and then the outside loop of the other side. Okay, and then we're gonna pull, and then we just continue doing this pretty much all the way to the end there. Okay, so make sure you're taking your time, make sure you're matching up your stitches. And as you guys remember, we have 50 stitches all together that we're working with on this project. So if you have your stitches matching up, you should not have any problem with stitches not lining up while you're sewing or while you're joining your work here. Okay, so go ahead and complete this part. When you get all the way to the end, come back and I will show you guys how to finish that off, cut off the whatever excess yarn we have left, and then do our straps. Okay, and that's gonna be the final part of the project, is doing the straps for it. Okay, all right, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have just 2 stitches to finish off here, as you can see. So I'm gonna obviously go ahead and finish those off, and then we're gonna kind of disconnect the string here, and then we will be able to do our straps. So the reason I came back is because whatever I did on this end here to secure the beginning, I'm going to do the same here. So for this final stitch, I'm going to go through both loops to tighten it to make sure it's gonna be fully secure. Okay, and I'm gonna do that multiple times here, and so that we don't have that gap that is created by the gap if we don't do it properly. Okay, so that is my number 3 round going around it here. And now that I feel I am fully satisfied with it done, then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut that yarn off here and put my darning needle away. And then what I do with these 2 pieces, I just knot them and make sure it's fully secure. Okay, and then I'll do the knot a couple of times here to make sure it's gonna be really strong and it's not gonna come off, and then I will snip them off. Okay, so that is that. And you can snip these off even closer so that you don't have this little bushy looking thing. But otherwise, and then I just use my nail to tuck this section in so that it doesn't stay sticking out like that. So then you just finish it off like that. Okay, so if you look at it, this is where we just joined our work right here. You cannot tell at all that there's a joining there. It's just your eyes will not even take you to the place because it looks very seamless. Okay, so now when you look at your top, it looks like you just have a tube top like this. And I'm gonna just kind of show you guys how to do the straps. So this is pretty much it here. So my technique for doing the straps is that I am going to actually put these on. Okay, I'm going to put these on, and then I'm going to put stitch markers where I know I'm going to be putting the straps where I know the straps are going to be, because it's different for everybody. Some people like the strap to be right in the middle of their breast, and it goes up around to the back. I like mine kind of like how the bra usually fits, so a little bit more towards my armpit. So I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to mark off in the front side the two sections, and then I will match it up to the back side. So you do the same, unless you know already where you're going to be doing your straps. But if you don't, you can use the technique that I use, which is just put these on and then kind of mark off where you want your straps to go. And then when you have that, come back, and then we will go ahead and create the 4 straps. So we're going to have a strap here, and then a strap here, and then they all tie up on top of your shoulders. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and try these on. Go try yours on. I'm going to try mine on, mark off where I need to do the straps, and then come back. Okay guys, so I have marked off where I'm going to be doing my straps here. So as you can see, I have stitch markers lined up here, and then I kind of match it up to where I would be doing them on the back side as well. So then I'm going to take the piece of yarn that I have, or like the yarn that I have to work with, and I'm just going to choose any of these sections here will be good to go. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker here, and I'm going to start this. So I'm just going to place it here to make sure I don't lose that. And I'm going to start by doing a slip knot here. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to go. What I will do, I'm not going to go into the very first stitch here. Maybe I should zoom in again so that we have it closer. So I'm not going to go right into this. I'm going to go into the second here, just to have a little bit of more of a sturdiness here, so that it's not going to stretch the work too much if you do it on the very first part of the stitch. And then I'm gonna put my crochet hook in the slip knot space, and then I'm going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to yarn over, go back into that space like this, yarn back up. It's like I'm doing a double crochet, and then yarn over, go through it once, yarn over, go through it once. So I'm making a strap that is a little bit on the thicker side, so that it's not too thin, because this is a very thin yarn. It's a lightweight 3. If I just do like a chain to do the straps, it's gonna be really thin, so I want to make my straps a little bit thicker. Okay, and now that I have that, I'm going to chain 3 again. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to yarn over, go into this big gap that we created from the previous the previous row, and I'm gonna go right into that, yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, go through the second 2 loops, and then chain 2, 3 again. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm just gonna repeat that. You're working into this big gap here, so make sure that is open, and you just continue to do this until you have the length of this one strap here. So remember, this is just half of the strap, the other one is coming from the back, and then it's going to tie up on top, and the same thing on the other side. So this is going to obviously depend on how long you want your strap to be. I'm going to do mine to be about 15 to 20 of this row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. So 1, 2, it's a little bit tricky to work with this color. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do about 15 to 20 of this. And then when I have that, I'm going to disconnect my yarn and then go into the opposite side and do the same. And then go into here, go into here. But what I will do is I will do my 15 to 20 rows here first. Come back to the video to show you guys how it looks like and to how to end it, and then I will let you guys do the other 3 on your own. But for now, just finish however long you want the strap on this side to be. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I have completed these 20 rows here of these chain links that we have created. So it's pretty much what the normal chain would be, except it's a lot thicker than just doing normal straight chain. Okay, so I have 20 of these chain links here, and so I'm gonna end it here because this is only half of the strap. The other half will come from the back, and then you're gonna be able to tie it on top of your shoulder. Okay, so with ending these here, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this yarn right off here, and then I am going to yarn over and put it through, which is pretty much doing a slip knot right there. And then you leave it like this. We're gonna be able to fasten all of these guys in, including where we started. But then you go ahead and move on to the back side and do the same thing we just did here, and then move over to the other stitch marker over here, do the same, and then to the back do the same. And when you have 4 of these all together on top here, then you're going to come back so we can look at it. And of course, it's going to be the end of the project as well. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have your 4 straps done. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed our crop top here. So as you can see, the straps are on. Okay, these are the straps we have just created. I have gone ahead and just knotted the tips of the where I finish off the straps and cut them off. And of course, I've gone ahead and weaved in the pieces that were left at the beginning of where we did the straps. So this is pretty much it here. So this is the top. This is what's gonna pretty much wrap around my body, and then I'm going to be able to tie the straps up right on top of my shoulders. And you can obviously knot these however you prefer, whatever knot you usually do for any strap clothing that you have. As you can see, this is pretty much how I do mine, the way I'm doing it right now. And of course, you're not gonna tie this before you put it on. You're gonna put it on before you tie the straps, and then you're gonna tie the straps. That way you can actually make the size fit you properly. But this is pretty much how it's gonna be like. Okay, so this is the end of the project here. Very simple. This is more geared towards the beginners. So if you're a beginner looking to do clothing, then this is one that is dedicated to you. And at this point, I will let you guys go, and I would like to thank you so much for watching the video to the end. Again, if you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and check out what I have. I have over 100 videos on my channel. You will probably find something that you would find quite pleasant to make, so check those out. And when you have done so, then go ahead and subscribe. If you have any questions about this project or any other projects that I have on my channel, you can go ahead and make sure you comment in the comment section below of each of those videos, whichever video you have a question about. And make sure you hit the notification bell, because it does notify you when I have anything that I'm posting on my channel. It's gonna say Simply Angel Tia has posted a new video, and then you can go ahead and click on it. Okay, thank you so much again, and I hope you guys will see me in the next one, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Okay, take care and bye bye.